As you guys can see behind me, all that snow we had gotten is already completely melted away in just the past few days. It wasn't tough to get through. The only real issue I had to deal with was just, you know, how when you walk on snow, it just becomes a sheet ice. So the entire area where I'm working around here was just like walking on an ice rink all the time. And you know, I can never have just a simple fall, like from a standing position to hitting the ground. No, it's got to be full of dramatic flourishes, you know, or I'm twisting and spinning like a drunken ballerina. So in like the 3 seconds it takes me to hit the ground, I've jumped over the fire pit, pulled my groin, landing the double inverted nad twist, and then just gained a full head of momentum. So it hurts that much more when I do finally hit the ground, 17 feet from where I initially slipped up. And you know you're never going to fall into a nice big fluffy pile of snow. It's no, you're going head first into your scrap wood pile or or that pile of yard tools you forgot to put away. But you just tough on through it. It looks like the next few nights are going to be pretty bitterly cold, so I've been doing what I can to prepare for that. It is what it is. I mean, if the changing seasons don't dramatically change your lifestyle, then you're just simply not spending enough time outside. So anyway, a commenter named Jimmy had asked me some questions about traveling after the stuff has hit the fan, specifically like how you handle approaching roadblocks and things like that. So yeah, this is a good little topic to get into. But before we talk about the end of the world, let's first talk about what it's like to travel today. I mean, anywhere where you have a population center or any road that connects population centers, it's a mess to be out there anyways. There's going to be broken down vehicles, accidents, uh, people swerving because they're messing around on their phone while they're driving and distracted, whatever they're doing. Everybody seems to treat you like you existing at all is an inconvenience to them. People are driving too fast. People are driving too slow. It's dangerous to be on the roads now. So imagine should there be like severe turmoil, take all of those problems, the difficulties of driving, and amp it up times 100. Because you got to think everybody would be in a panic if something, whatever the big event were to be that scared everybody. So they would be on the phones even more, because they're trying to contact loved ones or whatever, trying to get information about what's going on. They're not paying attention to the road. Their minds off somewhere else. It'd be extremely dangerous, and there'd be even more people out on the road because even people that at the time were at home, they're likely going to get in their vehicles because they're going to go try to get their kids out of school or pick up a family member or check on people, what's going on. Some people would say, oh, I better get to the grocery store and stock up or go fuel up the gas tank and all these. So whatever the amount of traffic there is under normal conditions, I would expect in a time of turmoil that it would instantly like increase a lot. Um, when something like that happens, I don't want to be anywhere but at home. That is the whole purpose of being a prepper, is preparing yourself so that when that time comes, you don't have to be one of those people out in the grocery store fighting each other over the last can of peaches. Um, training, talking to your family members and understanding where if something goes on, wherever everybody should know where they need to meet at. Okay, there should be plans in place. Kids should know. your spouses, any family members. Everybody should know what they should do wherever they happen to be, whether they're at school, whether at work. You got to develop those kinds of plans ahead of time. Now, there are times where you do want to bug out, like say for regional disasters. We've seen it with hurricanes and wildfires and such. If you've got something like that happening in your immediate area, yeah, you want to get out of there, get out of harm's way. I would say for that, if you got just a very short 5 minute window where you need to get moving, I would say probably your most important things to grab are your important paperwork, cash, and your debit card. Uh, I always keep my important paperwork all together, filed all in one spot. You know, all the stuff that's hard to replace, whether it's vehicle titles, land deeds, you know, stuff like that. Your social security card, birth certificate, all those kinds of things. But having it all in one spot, I know that if I need to, I can just grab it and go. Uh, Cash is obvious. I mean, you got to have cash to be able to do what you need to. And I say debit card specifically because most motels do not accept cash. They require you to use a card when you stay there. That way, if you trash the room after you leave, they can still charge you for it. So if you've got your debit card with some money in the bank and then fistfuls of cash, that will allow you to temporarily get some lodging, food, clothing if you need, whatever. You know, bad situations, having money on hand makes it much less bad. If you got a little bit more than 5 minutes, say you got 30 minutes or an hour, then yeah, of course there's more things you want to grab, like some changes of clothing and food, water, you know, all the toiletries and hygiene products, all that stuff. And if I had a few hours to work with beyond that, I'd be looking at packing up valuables that can be sold to get more money. I'm thinking things like jewelry, gold, silver, firearms, you know, kinds of things that if you were running low on money, you can go anywhere in the world, sell them, and get you some more currency to work with until you can find, till either the disaster is resolved and you can go home, or till you can find relatives to stay with, or whatever the situation is. So regional disasters like that, yeah, that's absolutely, you need to be planned ahead of time so you know how to bug out if you have to. But the question was more about, you know, real post-apocalyptic Mad Max type of world. And I just do not think there's going to be as much travel during times like that as people would imagine. Uh, for one, you know, there's not that much gasoline out there. I remember where I used to drive by this place where they're putting in a new gas station every day to work, and I remember driving by it when they were putting the big tanks in the ground. They're not that big, man. I mean, if everybody were to panic and say, I need to fuel up my vehicle and you know, fill up gas cans for the chainsaw and everything and the generator, within that first day, all of the gas stations would be completely depleted of gas. They would be gone. And it's such a complex supply chain to get. You have any idea what it takes to get gasoline to you? I mean, the extreme amount of work it takes to extract it out of the ground from some other portion of the world, then going through the whole refining process in a factory, and then pipeline somewhere, and then put on a truck to be delivered to your local gas station. I mean, in a Mad Max world, that kind of complex supply chain just would not work. It would just, all of that gasoline that comes to you would just come to a stop. So at that point, whatever you had would be probably be all you would ever have, at least until however long it takes the event to pass over. But you always see it in like these post-apocalyptic shows and that where it's 10 years into the zombie apocalypse and they're still driving around in vehicles out there. And I've always wanted to know, where exactly does this magical gasoline come from that lasts forever? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Sure, if you got some gasoline that you've put in some like stable additive to it, maybe it'll last a year. Diesel with additive, 2 years maybe, I don't know. Uh, but it goes bad. It just does not last that long. I know it's just TV. That's you got to suspend your reality for a little bit when you watch that. But it gives people a misconception about what would be happening. I think travel would reduce to almost nothing, because what little gasoline you did have available to you, you would be rationing and thinking every little drop of it, what is my best use of this? You're not going to be out joyriding and like, oh, let's go travel and do what we're going to do. I just don't think that would be happening. And I would not want to be out on the road. I mean, I think of just a few movie scenes that jump to mind, like World War Z. There's a scene where the family goes into a grocery store and everybody's in there ransacking the place, and some bad things happen to them. It's worth checking out. The other one is from the War of the Worlds remake, the one with Tom Cruise. And there's a scene where they have one of the only working vehicles, and the family's driving, and they come upon this group of people, and all the people start banging on the windows like, give me a ride, I need help or whatever. And he's like, no, I can't help you. So he's trying to push through, and eventually the family gets extracted out of the vehicle at gunpoint, and the whole scene just things go crazy. And you do not want to be the one person that has a working vehicle with gasoline on the road. You're just making yourself a big target. So when it comes to movies and shows like that, yeah, even though there's not a lot of realism to them, even the bad ones, I still find there's usually a scene or two in all of them that portrays something you can really take something from. You know, I'll watch it and be like, man, there's an idea there, something to at least consider. But when all the vehicles stop, it would be very quiet. Um, and if you are one of the vehicles traveling, everybody for miles is going to hear. You're telegraphing to everybody that you are there and what you're doing. And in a dangerous situation like that, I don't want people knowing when I'm out and about traveling or what I'm doing. That's just, you're just putting a target on yourself. So it's just my opinion. You want to do everything you can ahead of time to prepare so that you don't have to be driving anywhere when the stuff hits the fan. Take it from the guy who has bugged out to the woods. You don't want to do it, okay? I bugged out while everything was still working. I can go to the grocery store and get some food. Medical services are open. The gas stations are open. The hardware stores are open to get materials. And even still, with all of the wonderful things we have available to us, the communication with the phone. I mean, there's always help. You can call somebody. You can get assistance. Even with all those things, man, bugging out to the woods here was tough. If I didn't have all those services available to me, even though I'm somebody who my whole life I've been into bushcraft, wilderness survival, and all that, I'm probably best prepared for that sort of thing, much more than 99.9% of people out there. And even still, if I had did that, man, I would have met a very, very bad demise. Let's put it that way. I know it's a big thing in the prepper community, always has been, to talk about bugging out. And I think it's harmful thinking. I think people need to just get that idea of bugging out of their heads. Take advantage of the good times we have now to make it so you don't have to. I've always tried to say, ask yourself, how far can you walk in a single day? Let's say you can walk 10 miles in a day. Cut that number in half, because you want to be able to go out a distance and then walk back home and be back home before nighttime, so you can be in the safety of your home with protect your things and stuff like that. So in that case, it would be a 5 mile distance. Take a map of your house and draw a 5 mile circle around it. The area inside that circle would be your new world when stuff hits the fan. That's the way I see it. So today we should be working towards our little circle, our little world. Make that area as self-sufficient as possible. Work with the people within it. Uh, Whatever it is you got to do. If you determine that where you live currently would not be capable of self-sustaining in a situation like that, well, that kind of tells you what you need to be doing right now to take care of that. Um, as far as roadblocks, how you would approach that, there is no good way, okay? I just don't see it, because roadblocks have been used throughout all of history because they give an extreme tactical advantage to whoever's holding it. So whether it's today a police roadblock, or bandits, highwaymen, holding down a roadblock, if you pull up to a roadblock, you're in a situation where you are forced to do exactly what they tell you to do. That you have no other choice in it. You're not going to talk your way out of it or whatever. Uh, and I got to assume that when a roadblock is being put up, whatever they want me to do is probably not in my family's best interest. It's most likely going to be in their best interest. So my opinion is you don't want to be anywhere near them. Uh, Unfortunately, if you are out on the road during those times, there's a possibility that it's likely a roadblock is going to be set up in a spot where you can't see it ahead of time. They're not going to set it up on an open, long road where you can see, ooh, there's a roadblock down there a mile. Maybe we should stop here. And no, it's going to be around a curve. So as soon as you come around a curve, bam, it's going to be right there. And I've seen it, like growing up in Chicago. There's times where, like at night in certain neighborhoods, you don't come to a stop at a stop sign. Like if there's people around or whatever, you just keep on going through there, because uh, the thugs will push like a dumpster out in the road in front of you or something like that, or a baby carriage, or something to make you stop. And then as soon as you come to a stop, another one will run up behind your vehicle and put a chock up behind your vehicle, so you can't put it in reverse either, and you're stuck right there. Then a group will descend on you and attack, take what they're going to, and do what they're going to do. So you can't be in that situation where you come around a curve and hit a roadblock. It's too late at that point. If I did have to travel during those times, it would not be on a road, and it would not be in a vehicle. I just don't think that's a safe way to do it. If you do have to travel during total turmoil like that, you have to get to where your uncle's farm, or whatever you need to do. You need to get that travel out of the way immediately, like in the first or second day. You're not going to encounter a roadblock from bandits out there in the first day or two of stuff hitting the fan. That's so you got to take advantage of that short window. If you've got to get out and move somewhere, you got to do it at that point. Don't make it too far away because, like I said, you're not going to be able to just stop for gasoline. Like when I drove down here from Illinois, I've got to stop and fuel up a couple of times. I can't make a 12-hour drive on just a single tank of gas. And if your plan is to bug out somewhere that's further away than a full tank of gas, man, that's going to be hard. You're gambling whether you're going to be able to procure any or not on the road. So take that into consideration as well. Basically what it comes down to, I think that us as preppers just need to stop focusing so much on what kinds of things we would do in these scenarios after stuff hits the fan, and instead start focusing on the present day. Start living the solutions. Like I said, that little 5 mile radius around your house, man. Self-sufficiency. Start developing your systems now. When you start living how you would then, you start having means to handle the various things. How you're going to procure water and food and personal hygiene and warmth. All the important things you need to have personal defense. Start living the solutions now. It will just, the time is not to start doing those things after an event has happened. It's to start doing it now while times are good, and that's the whole point of preparation. So thank you, Jimmy, for the questions. I hope that kind of answered it for you. Yeah, a world like that, I don't think any of us wants to be out on the road. It will be a bad place. Sure, there's always going to be that adrenaline junkie that some way finds a way surviving out on the road. Uh, for the majority of us, though, I don't think it's a good idea. Uh, Maybe you or me are capable of living out of a tent, out of a backpack on the road, but is your wife able to? Are your kids able to? Are your parents able to? Your pets? You got to take all these things in consideration and just start making ourselves as self-sufficient as possible beforehand.